some people watching too.
Sure.
So I'll tell you what, though, man, the stands emptied out. Halftime, the student section was nobody.
I saw. Crazy.
Hopefully, it makes getting out of here a little bit easier in about a half an hour. That's the only positive I can take out of it.
No, not the worst idea.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh well, it's all good. All good.
Yeah, they were reviewing it.
Are they?
Yeah, just to see if he was in the end zone or not. It doesn't really matter regardless. Either he's in or he's at the 1.
Right. Would it be first and goal then for that?
First and goal at the 1. Florida State's down 28-23.
Yeah.
First and goal at the 1 with 58 seconds left.
I've been following along with that game, and then I was following the Boston College game too. That was actually a good game right up until the end. BC scored to kind of put it away.
Yeah, that was back and forth. And Tennessee, Georgia was good for most of the first half, which is longer than I thought it would be.
Right.
So there's some good games tonight.
Yeah.
Be locked in. Kate's actually down, and Kate's in Blacksburg.
Is she?
Yeah, she's visiting. She's visiting one of her grad school friends. Yeah.
You didn't make the trip?
No. I didn't make the trip.
It's weak.
Weak. Had to golf. Played golf. Scott was here. I got a lot of traveling coming up with weddings and stuff like that.
That's fair. All right, let's go ahead and do this. People can jump in as we go. Give them some time here. Hokie Duke postgame show. Paul Van Wagner, Mike McDaniel here on the Voice of College Football. Virginia Tech wins 48-17, and I tweeted out, oh gosh, Mike, probably about midway through the fourth quarter. I got some pushback on it, but I said, where the Hokies are over 500 yards of offense. Where the hell has this been all season? And of course, people want to point out that, well, it's Duke, and but I mean, at the end of the day, like, okay, I don't need 500 yards a game, but give me like 400. Give me 385, right? Like, yeah. I mean, they showed up though. Senior day, they showed up and played some good football finally.
Yeah, and those same people who are saying, oh, it's Duke, are the same ones who are going to complain when Tech doesn't put up 500 yards against Middle Tennessee or Richmond or, name that opponent. So I mean, you just can't win with some people. But, yeah, I mean, first of all, this was, to win this game the way that Virginia Tech did, to go out and win a game by 31 points, to put up 48 points and, have, over 500 yards of offense, and for Burmeister to go 9 of 15 for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. Receivers were running wide open everywhere. I don't know what was going on in the running game. They seem to prioritize running Raheem Blackshear today. I don't know if Malachi Thomas was a little banged up or what. He only had 7 carries for 10 yards, but it was clear that they wanted to get kind of everybody involved in the running game today. So Keyshawn King got some carry. Keyshawn King was really good. Had 9 carries for 90 yards, had the 47-yard touchdown catch on the wheel route that Burmeister threw him. Caleb Smith got in the end zone. He was running wide open on that post there in the third quarter. So, I mean, there were a lot of really positive plays in this game for Virginia Tech offensively. Defensively, I thought it was really good. It was interesting that Duke did not run Mateo Durant that much. I don't know if he was banged up or what. And then I was surprised that Gunnar Holmberg didn't play. I didn't realize he was injured. I don't think anybody did.
Right.
A little bit of a surprise there. I did see Riley Leonard out there. Didn't play particularly well. So all in all, I mean, Duke was shuffling quarterbacks. They were in a tough spot at the position today. Mateo Durant, I'm not sure is 100%, which doesn't help when, your 1,000-yard rusher only carries the ball 10 times.
Yeah.
And, they're banged up and they're not very good anyway. So Virginia Tech did what we've been kind of accustomed to seeing them do over the years, is like beat this type of opponent in conference play handily, which is something, ironically, they haven't been doing recently.
Right.
So just a really good way to send out the seniors, Paul. Just a really, and that's people can talk about, okay, it's Duke, it's this, it's that. They won a game by 31 points. which is something they hadn't done. So.
Well, and Justin Fuente even said at the beginning of the season, we're not, I think it was the Middle Tennessee game or maybe the Richmond game. He said, we're not built to blow teams out. We're not going to do that. But, you blow Duke out, which, I guess at the end of the season, it's kind of a moot point. You need one more win either against Miami coming up next week or against UVA in 2 weeks in order to make yourself bowl eligible. I don't know that saves Justin Fuente's job. At this point, I think he's probably coaching for his next job, and as are a lot of the staff members on the Hokie staff. It just feels like that's kind of where they're at right now. But I think, Mike, you got to give credit to the defense. I agree with you. I don't know if Durant was injured. I don't know what happened there, but 10 carries for 33 yards. Again, I tweeted out earlier in the game, this is a guy that's averaging 118 yards per game, and Virginia Tech held him under 40 for the game. So,
yeah,
solid.
Very, very solid. Duke got no production out of their running backs today. Jordan Moore came in and made some plays running the football at the quarterback position. I'd play him. Like if I was Duke, I'd play him. I understand it's kind of garbage time, stuff like that, but he had some athleticism there that we haven't seen. And I get Gunnar Holmberg's been pretty good for Duke. He's completed 70% of his passes and stuff like that. But I think for this offense, having another element with the legs would be solid. But the defensive effort today was all in all really, really good. And you expect it to be against Duke, right? But a really strong performance defensively. And for Virginia Tech, in my opinion, Virginia Tech has run into situations where they've gone up against really good running teams, and they haven't always answered the bell. And today they did that, and I think that says a lot about the defensive side of the ball and the pride they played with today and trying to go out the right way for the seniors, right? And there is something to be said for that because it's easy to pack it in and mail it in. The one thing I will say, and I've been critical of Justin Fuente all year, right? I've been and in years past, and I've given credit to the staff when I think they deserve credit, and I've been critical when I think they deserve criticism. But this team has not quit on this coaching staff all year. They haven't quit. We saw a little bit late in that BC game, the coaching staff punts it away on, we talked about that, punts it away with 5 minutes left, Tech's down, 2 scores, and wasn't going particularly well. And we talked about how the players were a little bit down after that, which I understand why they would be. But to come back this week and dominate this football game from, really the middle of the second quarter on, just really, really impressive by the kids to not mail it in when they could have, when it's convenient, right?
Yeah.
You're 4-5. You're in a terrible spot. What's left to play for? Yeah, a bowl game, I guess, right? But your goals of winning the Coastal and putting together a season that I think Whit Babcock had hoped when he chose to keep Justin Fuente, when that goes out the window, it would be easy to mail it in, but the kids didn't on senior day, which is great. And maybe Virginia Tech's able to carry some of that momentum into a game next week at Miami. And Miami's in a dogfight late in the fourth quarter of Florida State. And Miami's in a spot where, they're now down by a field goal with 21 seconds left after storming back to take the lead. And Miami could be licking their wounds after a tough loss potentially here. So, can Virginia Tech be the team that, beats Miami twice, so to speak? Like, does Florida State beat Miami twice next week? Maybe Tech can take some of that offensive momentum into that game, going on the road to Miami. So as a coach, if you're Justin Fuente, I think that's what you're hoping for in the locker room, that, you can take some momentum going out on the road here for your final 2 games.
Yeah, and it is interesting, too, when you look at the UVA game coming up in 2 weeks. What do we always say about UVA? They've got a prolific offense, but they have no defense. So if you're Virginia Tech, you just need your defense to get a couple of stops against that offense, which if the defense that played against North Carolina and the defense that played tonight against Duke shows up, you can definitely do that. And then you're just looking at, can our slightly below average offense take advantage of their way below average defense. And, you got to think that would be an opportunity in Charlottesville for the Hokies to pick up another W. But, today's game I thought was really well played on both sides, on all three sides of the ball, honestly. Special teams was Tavion Robinson has really found himself a spot there as the punt returner for Virginia Tech. And he makes some catches, Mike. I saw the one, I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was a whole pile of traffic, and he kind of reached out to his, I guess it would have been his right.
His right, yeah, it would have been his right.
With guys all around him, and then made, like, it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, man, that I don't know if that's just really ballsy or really stupid, but either way, he made it work, and that was impressive.
Yeah, he's and that was a question coming into the year, right? Because we saw Tavion Robinson and his ability in the return game as a freshman, and we saw his ability as a receiver as a freshman as well. And then last year, going into the year, you don't have a real offseason because of COVID, and then he had the issues fumbling, with punts last year, and then the whole thing coming into the year was, okay, that's Tavion's job to lose as long as he stops muffing punts, because we knew the ability was there. He showed it already. And he's really been good. He's been great, actually, in the receiving, in the return game, and he's been Tech's most consistent receiver all year too. And it was good to see him play well today, because he didn't play great against Boston College last week on the road. It was the first game all year where I thought that Tavion Robinson didn't play particularly well. Had a drop, had a fumble, that sort of thing, but played much better this week, and he's been really consistent and really, really good all year. I don't want to nitpick, Tavion's one bad game against BC. He's been really, really good all year and was awesome again today.
And when you look at kind of where this team is and kind of where it's going, I don't know that we have a whole lot of answers at this point. I mean, all we know is you're going to play each game that's in front of you. And like you said earlier, maybe you make a bowl game, maybe you don't. It is a weird feeling, because you and I were chatting during the fourth quarter. We were texting back and forth, and I even texted you. I said, this feels like the spot where Virginia Tech pees this thing away. That's not the term I use, but, people get the idea. And you didn't respond to me, and I was like, okay, Mike's into this thing. And then the Hokies scored, and you're like, I'm really glad they scored, because I was about to agree with you. But
yeah, I looked at – I was actually doing laundry. And I turned away from the game, and I saw a couple of negative plays for Tech, and then I saw the Tavion Robinson chunk play on the return, and then a quick run with I believe it was Keyshawn. It was either Keyshawn King or Blackshear had a chunk run, and then Blackshear scored, and I was like, good thing that happened, because it looked like things were stalling out a bit, because Tech was scoring. It felt like Tech was scoring on every single possession, and then they didn't, and I was like, like, that's not good. And Duke was not moving it great, but they were moving the ball a little bit offensively. I'm like, man, this is like, we've kind of seen this story before. And then Tech stepped on their throat, which is what good teams do. You had the Blackshear touchdown, run, and then you had the fumble by Garbutt.
Right.
Norrell Pollard forces it. Garbutt picks it up in the end zone, and that got reviewed. First of all, I don't mean to just do a whole sidebar here, but the officiating was brutal. Oh, yeah. It was awful to watch on TV, Paul. It was so bad.
Should have been here. It was even worse. Worse in person.
It was horrible. I mean, I'm not saying they were always necessarily the wrong calls. It just felt like a lot of stuff was nitpicky today, and it was both sides, not like the officiating towards Tech or towards Duke. Just in general, it was a tough watch from that standpoint.
No, I agree. It was, and then there were points where the state fans, the 27 or so that were left, not 27,000, actually 27 people in the stands at the end of the game were booing. Another spot where people were booing, they weren't real happy, and rightly so, at the half, when the Hokies took over with the ball deep in the north end of the stadium. And I actually tweeted out, I said, watch this. We're going to run the ball 3 times and have to punt the ball back to Duke. And sure enough, they did. Luckily, Braxton Burmeister was able to bust off the big run right at the end, and then takes a hit out of bounds here on the Hokie sideline and gets some extra yards, puts the Hokies on Duke's side. But now you've only got 38 seconds left, and you got to try to get, another 10, 15 yards so you can try to kick a field goal. And it's just like, why don't you take take some shots, right? Like Tim Thomas and I were talking about this at halftime, Mike. And one of the things I said to Tim was, I said, and I don't know if you could see it on TV, but from here, you could definitely see it. So the Hokies are running 3, 4, 5 wide receivers out there, and every one of them is man coverage, right? There, just take the damn shot. Like, who cares if you don't complete a single pass? Okay, whatever, man. But take the shot. Like, stop running just to run. Like, that's frustrating.
I mean, they'll take the shot at the end of the half when they have no other choice to do a Hail Mary, right? And they'll take that shot. But then why not take the shot when it's 2nd and 10 or like 2nd and 6? Why not take a shot there, right? And it's been that way all year. It's like, Tech ranks pretty high in college football in terms of not turning the football over. But in my opinion, they also rank pretty high in the fact that they just refuse to, try to make explosive plays. I know in terms of offensive explosiveness, Tech is one of the worst in the Power 5. I know that. I don't know exactly where they rank, but I know all year they've been towards the bottom of the Power 5 anyway in terms of offensive explosiveness, which isn't a surprise, right? I mean, they haven't had those chunk plays really all year. So I don't really understand why you're going to be so cautious. I mean, and I was kind of thinking about this during the game last week against BC. Why not take a couple shots in that game too, right? Because you literally have nothing to lose. We're like, the offense is in a tough spot. You know that Kadum is in a no-win situation here. Why not take some shots? Right. And it's not always the thing too is like the aggressiveness factor, right? Like we want the play calling to be more aggressive. Like, that means in the passing game often, right? But it also means in the running game. Like don't always just run the same, trap play up the middle or same read play up the middle. Like try something a little bit different other than jet sweep. Like there are other ways to be explosive offensively. And I feel like Tech's got athletes. Tech's got a ton of athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, Tavion is explosive. We know Trey Turner is explosive. DeJuan Lofton has shown flashes as a freshman. Malachi Thomas has been great over the last month. Like there are guys who are explosive. Keyshawn King today.
Yeah.
We know, and we've seen it, and Keyshawn King played himself out of the rotation, about a month ago. He played himself out of the rotation. Malachi Thomas played his way into it.
Right.
But, we saw when Keyshawn King was a freshman a couple of years back in 2019, we saw his ability and his speed, and there's a reason why he was the third down back for a lot of that year, We saw the ability. He just had to stop fumbling, and he had to get a little bit bigger. Well, he's kind of done both of those things. So point being, there's a lot of explosive players on this roster in terms of skill level and talent. And even a guy like Caleb Smith who got in the end zone today. I mean, I know he's a possession receiver, but the kid's fast. He's fast. So just scheme him in positions to be successful. And I think that's been a shortcoming of the offensive coaching staff.
Well, and they have these goofy theories that they subscribe to, right? Justin Fuente has said to us in the past, you guys get all twisted up over who's getting the yards and when they're getting them. I don't care about that. I just want to get the yards. But, then you gotta hang on, let me look at the stat here so I don't misquote myself. You got a guy like Raheem Blackshear who in the first quarter almost has 9 carries for 90 yards. Yeah. And at the end of the game, he ends up with 12 carries for 117 yards. So in 3 quarters, you took a guy that has carried the ball 9 times for 90 yards, 10 yards a clip. I'm not a mathematician, but even I can do that, Mike, right? And you only give him the ball 3 more times in the entire rest of the game?
Right.
I just, I scratch my head at this stuff. Like, this makes no sense to me. And the only time they didn't do this was last season. And I think that was just because they couldn't. But this whole, I got a back that's getting chunks, man. Like, I'm going to keep feeding him until you show me that you can stop him. No, we're going to go ahead and pull him out after 1 quarter, and we're going to rotate some other guys in here. And it's nothing against Keyshawn King. It's nothing against Malachi Thomas. It's just, I don't understand it.
That guy's got it today. Roll with him, right?
Right.
I get it. The thing, too, is what we saw a year ago with Khalil Herbert is that he makes any offensive coordinator look good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he was very, and I made this comparison, he was very David Wilson-like, which I get, in some ways, I think people would say, oh, that's lazy because David Wilson is like the last really good running back Virginia Tech had before Khalil Herbert. But seriously, like you could give the ball to David Wilson on a dead play back in 2011, and he would make 2 moves and he'd be gone.
Yep.
And Herbert had that same sort of explosiveness, and Tech hasn't had that. Really for the last, 3 or 4 years of Beamer, and then pretty much all throughout the Justin Fuente tenure, they haven't had a running back that could explode off the page like that until they had Khalil Herbert. And so that's part of it too. I think that, Virginia Tech's offense is interesting because the basis of everything that Virginia Tech does on offense is based and predicated on running the football well. Run the football well to set up the pass, and you'll be in a really good spot. And, Fuente has said before, like, I don't care who carries the ball, like you mentioned, Paul. Like, I don't care who carries the ball. It could be this guy, that guy, quarterback, running back, receiver. I don't really care. Yeah, that's all well and good. But then when you find that guy who's having a good day, keep putting it in his hands. Why are we overthinking? Just keep giving it to him.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
It makes no sense to me. I don't understand that. I'll never understand that. And we've seen Virginia Tech, not to belabor the point, but we've seen Virginia Tech miss on recruits. And, you have to assume, especially high-end running back recruits, and good on Ramon Brown for seeing that there's a chance to come to Virginia Tech and maybe be that guy. But, there's a kid right now playing at Penn State that's tearing things up that the Hokies were in the Final 3 and missed on. There's a kid at Notre Dame right now doing the same thing, same deal, right? Well, why did Virginia Tech miss on those kids? Because, is it because they want to be the bell cow, or they want to be the featured back, and they know at Virginia Tech it's never going to happen, at least not under the Justin Fuente regime? I don't know. Like, I just – you got to wonder, and then, you get into the whole development thing, and that's another conversation that we can have on another day, because there is a lot of talent that's just underperforming week in and week out.
No doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. Look, I think it's just satisfying to see Tech put it all together. This is the first time all year Tech's been able to put it all together offensively and defensively. Yeah. We've seen it for quarters. We've seen it for halves. We've seen it a game here and a game there, different things plaguing Virginia Tech all year. It was nice to see Tech put it together for 4 quarters.
Agreed.
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they were playing Duke, but at some point, you've got to give credit to the players and the coaching staff for that, and I go back to this, Tech didn't do this against Richmond. They didn't do this against Middle Tennessee State, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to sit there, right, exactly. So if you're going to sit, and my thing with the fans is, if you're going to sit here and complain when Tech is not delivering 500-yard games against those opponents, don't sit here and complain when they do it against an ACC opponent, no matter the caliber. And right. I do understand. Yeah, it's Duke. You should do that. But then when Tech doesn't do that against like an FCS school or a Group of 5 team, don't complain. Right? Like,
right.
You can't have it both ways. Either you want it to happen or you don't. And then once it happens, you can't complain about it. So I'm happy for the seniors to go out like this, at home at Lane Stadium. I was happy that Lane was packed at kickoff.
Yeah.
I think it's a great fan base, Paul. Like, they want winning football so bad in Blacksburg. They want it so bad. And this is a fan base that cares a lot. They care a lot, and they just want winning football. And we'll see who brings it to them.
Yeah. It's funny because I asked John McLaughlin during the pregame show, you were with us. I said, we're a basketball school. And I said, how bad does that make you mad? And he was like, oh, man, I hate that. I hate that. So that the football players don't like that, right? Like, they want this to be a football school, and I think it is. Like, jokingly, I say basketball school, and Mike Young is doing amazing things on the basketball court.
I was there last night.
Yeah, but we're never going to be Duke. We're never going to be North Carolina, right? Probably never will be Louisville or Florida State. They're just on a different level. But, when you kind of put that out there to the football guys that we're trending more towards basketball school land than we are football, like that, really, they don't like that. So,
No.
for the team to come out and kind of show that, hey, we can win too, right? Like it's not just the basketball team that's going to be winning games. We can win too. That's a good feeling, that's for sure. So let me ask you this. All right, before we wrap this thing up, because I'm thinking they're going to kick me out of here pretty soon. Hokies got 2 more games. They play down in Miami at Hard Rock next weekend. I still don't think they've given us a kickoff time for that game, have they? I think we get it on Monday. I'm almost positive that was.
Yeah, I think they put a hold on it, Paul.
So we don't know what time that's going to be. We don't know what time pregame will be. So you got the Hokies next week down at Hard Rock. Then they got to go to Charlottesville to play the final week of the season. 5-5 right now, Mike. I'm going to put you on the spot. How do the Hokies end up this season?
And Brennan Armstrong, I don't think, is playing tonight against Notre Dame for UVA.
I don't think so either. The backup quarterback, and I can't remember his name, was out
Jay Woodfolk.
Right. He was warming up with the one receivers. I don't know if it was Mike Barber or David Teal, but one of them tweeted out a picture of that. And I don't believe that there was a Brennan Armstrong sighting.
Yeah.
So
that game is so predicated on the health of Armstrong. It's really hard to say. I mean, I think if we get a Brennan Armstrong that's even like 75, 80% healthy, I think Virginia Tech's going to have a hard time in that game. It's hard too, Paul, because the offense hasn't been good this year, but I think as bad as it was last week, I think that's almost like an aberration in a way. Mm-hmm. Like the Pitt game was bad too, but for different reasons.
Yeah. See that.
Virginia's defense gives up points to anybody, it feels like. So I think Armstrong playing in that game will be important. And Virginia Tech, just no matter how bad Virginia Tech is, they always get up for that game. So it's really hard to say, even though I think on paper UVA is the better team. They play better all year, and Bronco has them well coached. It's hard to definitively say Virginia Tech's absolutely losing that game in Charlottesville. I think Tech's going to have a really hard time next Saturday against Miami. Even with Miami coming off this really tough loss tonight, Tyler Van Dyke is he's a problem at quarterback. And they create explosive plays in the passing game. And Jalen Knighton's been good at running back since Cameron Harris went out. They're finding themselves a little bit. And even in this game today, like it wasn't going well. They were down, I think, 20-6. They were down 17-0, I think, and then 20-6, if I'm not mistaken. So it was not going well. And Miami came back, and they keep fighting. And they're in a better spot now than they were about a month ago when they played UVA. I guess a little more than a month ago now when they played UVA. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Manny Diaz is toast." I don't think that anymore. We'll see what the fallout is after losing a rivalry game. But Miami showed a lot of fight today, I thought, and Van Dyke's a good quarterback. I think he's going to give Tech a lot of problems because Tech has had some struggles outside of Sam Howell. They've had some struggles against really good quarterbacks this year, and I think Van Dyke is certainly one of them. He's trending in that direction. So the Miami game's going to be tough. I think Tech loses that one, and then I think this team goes 5-7.
Okay.
On paper, I think that's what happens. I mean, Tech's going to be an underdog in both these remaining games. It's just a matter of can they steal one. I think it's easier to steal the one against UVA because it's a rivalry game, and Tech's got the history of success the last decade and a half. So I think that's an easier one to steal. In theory, I think in practice, the Miami one might be easier to steal because you're not dealing with Brennan Armstrong. Even though Van Dyke's good, he's still a freshman.
Right.
So, yeah, 2 tough games remaining. It's tough to win on the road in the ACC. Tech's had a lot of trouble winning at home too, which is why they're kind of in this predicament. But long way of saying I think it's still probably 5-7, but I don't think 6-6 is out of the question. I think they absolutely lose one of the remaining 2, though. I don't think they win both of them. That would be great if they could do that. I just don't think it's realistic.
I agree. But I do think they win one of these 2. I feel like it's the UVA game more so because of the rivalry, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up, Mikey.
My pizza's here, Paul. My
Go
pizza's
eat your
here.
pizza. Go eat your pizza. I'll wrap this thing up, man. We'll talk to you. For Mike McDaniel, I'm Paul Van Wagner. Final score, the Hokies beat the Duke Blue Devils 48-17. We will have a Hokie House pregame show for you next week. We'll let you know when that's going to be. You can also hear us on The Drive on ESPN Blacksburg Monday through Friday from 4 to 6. You can download the ESPN Blacksburg app if you want all things Hokies, all things ACC. We do a lot of everything on that show, so we encourage you to check that out. The ESPN Blacksburg app is a great way to do that also. So all that being said, we'll have pregame for you next Saturday. We'll have postgame for you immediately after. And for Mike McDaniel, I'm Paul Van Wagner. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one.